Welcome to the Clear to Send podcast, a podcast about wireless engineering, where we educate you on Wi-Fi technology, talk about design tips, troubleshooting, interviews, and the tools. Here are your hosts, Rowell and François.
Hi guys, welcome to a brand new episode of the Clear to Send show. This is François, your host, and I'm here with Rowell. Hey Rowell, how are you?
Hey, good morning.
Good morning. And today we'll talk about NetAlly, continuing the Mobility Field Day series. And we'll talk about, what NetAlly is and what they presented about, and, exchange on different things that they talked about. So NetAlly is the secret company. So before the Mobility Field Day event, they announced that we're going to have a secret company presenting at the event. Everyone was speculating on who it could be, including us, and we got it totally wrong.
Yeah.
But eventually it turned out to be NetAlly. And maybe what we can do is we can just start the episode presenting what this new company is all about.
Yeah, and it will be a company familiar to all of you guys. If you haven't heard of it before, we do have the videos on the show notes. So if you want to go and check those out, head over to the show notes, and there will be each of the videos there that Francois participated in. If you go to cleartosend.net/186.
Exactly. So NetAlly is not really, it's a new name, I guess, but it's people and product we have been familiar with. So NetAlly, it's pretty much a spinoff of the Netscout company, and they decided to start their own company, and so they own like smaller company focusing on their products and products. What I want to say is it's pretty much the same products and the same employees that used to work for Netscout that created this new NetAlly company. And so that's why I was saying that it's stuff we are familiar with.
Yeah, and I like the name because you're working with the network, and they're your ally on troubleshooting and getting visibility into any troubleshooting or trying to find out what's going on with the network. And they did bring over the familiar products that we're used to seeing, like the AirCheck and the Link Runner, including also the survey tool, which just left my mind. I can't remember the name. Air Magnet. That's what it is. Yeah. So it's a new company. They're operating much smaller, so I guess they have this startup feel to it. And watching through the presentations made me feel comfortable about this company, and I'm really paying attention to see what they come out with next, right? What is this evolution of products, and how can they make it better for us as network engineers or wireless experts? And we'll continue to see, I guess, maybe next year, the next Mobility Field Day, for an update.
Yeah, and quick facts about the company. So they have a new CEO called Mike Parotino. He was the one presenting the company. If you watch the videos, they have 100 employees. Some of them were employees of Netscout, and even some of them were employing when Fluke Network was still owning the company. And they have 50,000 customers in over 70 countries around the world. So that's about the new company. And like you said, it's a smaller environment. They want to act more of a startup, be more flexible in the way they develop products. And so that sounds very good. And we're excited to see what product they come up with.
Yeah, I think operating as a smaller company will give them that more flexibility and be able to help drive some of these the features of these products, and maybe develop things faster. And so that's what I'm looking forward to, because as I'm a user of the AirCheck G2 and the Link Runner, and also Link Live, which is their cloud platform where you can upload all your tests. I really like to see this develop further because I think there's a really good use case for these handheld tools.
Yeah, but I don't think it's a startup either, because they already have 100 employees. They have like a R&D team. They have some very good technical people from some of them know like the hardware, some of them know the software. So they have like a full stack team already. So it's great that they're smaller and they'll be more flexible. But I don't think they're like bootstrapping a company there.
Yeah, they're not bootstrapping, but they did lose a lot of the baggage, right, of these larger being part of a larger company, and they have quite a story because they've been at different organizations for as they've gone over time, from Fluke to Netscout, and Netscout has been part of Mobility Field Day in the past, and it still feels about the same. It's just a new name. We'll just see how they come out with new products and updates to their products.
And one of the question was, what's going to happen with Air Magnet, because Air Magnet has been dormant for a few years now, right? You have people out there that still pay for support every year, and they want to know what's going to happen with my Air Magnet product. Is it going to stay alive? Is it still worth to pay for support, waiting for something better? Like, what's up with Air Magnet? So that's one question that the CEO addressed right off the bat when he presented the company. And so he said that they're exploring different avenues. They definitely don't want to let the product die. And they're exploring 3 different avenues. The first one would be to build a brand new product using their R&D resources. So come up with a new, site server software. I don't know if in the Air Magnet, solution, he included all the analysis tool as well, the Air Magnet analyzer and all of that. Mm-hmm. But that's one avenue they're exploring, building a brand new product. Second avenue would be to acquire a company and partner with them to bring a solution to the market, right? So maybe acquiring a company that already have some tools close to what they want to do with Air Magnet, and then partner with them to bring it to the market. So that's the second avenue. And the third avenue is establishing a partnership with another company, a true partnership that would provide something unique and that doesn't have too much overlapping in terms of the product they offer.
Yeah.
So they didn't really tell us which avenue they're going to take. They just told us they're exploring all of them, and we'll see. I guess we'll see which one they'll decide to take. And yeah, I think building a brand new product will be very time consuming. And if they want to catch up with the competition, it's going to take years.
Yeah. And I remember using Air Magnet a long time ago, and that was around the transition where I made it to go into Ekahau. So, I mean, they do have a lot of catching up to do. Their product was very good, especially like the Spectrum XT. Like, I really like that product. So I would like to see them update Air Magnet Survey and Spectrum XT, and then maybe tie that into some of their existing product lines, like their AirCheck G2, for example, or tie that into Link Live, and then you still continue to operate under this their simplicity and visibility and collaboration, those core values that they say they have, and like, why not leverage what you have and then just improve upon it? Now they may have to do a lot of heavy lifting as far as working on that code in those versions, but there is a lot of room for improvement and still room in this industry for another tool. I mean, they were very popular, and a lot of people still uses them. So for the CEO to come up and say that they are still gonna keep this software alive is, I think that's reassuring for a lot of people. But I mean, how long will people wait until they see like a major update, right? Or because we haven't heard about it in a while until today. So hopefully they come out with something soon. And I'd obviously it's going to have to support things like Wi-Fi 6. It's going to have to support like newer methods of gathering that data. But I don't know, without much information, it's kind of hard to tell.
Yeah, it's going to have to be innovative if they want to gain some customers back, because some customers, transition to, like how or their other tools. Maybe they're going to have to come up with a hardware similar to the Psychic or something like that to be able to capture data that's comparable. Maybe they're going to have to be more innovative on the software side of things to provide, things that other people don't do, to try to attract the people back. And like you said, maybe they could integrate it to their Link Live platform, maybe with the other tools that they have. To bring additional values to it.
Yeah, I think with those handheld tools, they could create something very similar to a Sidekick, and kind of tie that into your survey application or your Spectrum XT application. Yeah. Even in if you look at their Wi-Fi analyzer application, like you can tie all those tools together with all the handheld tools they have, and they talk about innovating and They went through their history, and it sounds like they're very capable of creating something like this. Maybe it's just about stepping back and looking at the products holistically, going, okay, where are our strengths, and what can we do to make that even better? Like what are people looking for when it comes to troubleshooting wireless networks, and how can we improve upon that experience when it comes to collecting that data, analyzing it? Like what pieces are missing from the other companies like IBWave and Ekahau, and kind of put that together.
Yeah, and regarding the other avenues, like acquiring a partner company or partnering with someone else, they will have to find someone that's willing to do it first, and someone that when they say they don't want to partner with the companies that doesn't have too much overlapping, technically speaking. I don't really know who they want to who they are looking at partnering with, but it's not going to be easy in the space, I think.
No, I think their the closest company to partner with would be IBWave, because IBWave doesn't have any handheld tools, and IBWave has a very mature product when it comes to Wi-Fi surveys, but I don't know. We'll see. I mean, it is an avenue they can take, but I don't think it'll be one that's to their advantage, to NetAlly's advantage.
All right. Okay, so let's move on to the next section here, and we want to talk about all the new technical stuff they presented during the Mobility Field Day, and they had their CTO James Kakoska He presented for about an hour on all the new technical stuff that they're working on, and we organized those different technical, or I guess those new things under their core values, which is simplicity, visibility, collaboration. And so during the presentation, he showed us a lot of screenshots from a tool we've never seen before, right?
Yeah, I saw that. It looks very brand new to me.
Yeah, it looks very brand new, but they didn't tell us they're presenting any new product. Just in the slides, we could see that they had screenshots of a new product, and then in the product, when they showed us the product roadmap, you could see like a NetAlly green square for 2019. So they're probably working on something for this year. But in the meantime, all we got was screenshots and then features around the simplicity, visibility, and collaboration. So we're just going to talk about that, and because they do have some cool things that we could leverage as Wi-Fi engineers or even network engineers in a more general way.
Yeah.
So the first thing is simplicity. So they try to have something that's very simple to use, simple to configure, simple to analyze. And when you look at the screenshots we got, I don't know if it's going to come from a tool, from an application, or from another handheld device or something, but it looks very easy to use. And it looked very, very simple, right? Simple, easy to use, different pages, different views for client devices, access points, even network equipment. They even had a view for wireless controllers, which was pretty cool. And you could view all the status on your screen. You could navigate in between, in between the different categories, and it looks very simple to use. So I guess they tried to incorporate that into the way they design their UI as well.
Yeah, and I like that because the tools that they have are meant to be simple to use, and being able to just kind of go through the different outputs that's available to you, it's easy to navigate, and I think they've done excuse me, I think they've done a great job at displaying that information to you without making that screen overly crowded and noisy with information. So they keep that piece simple.
And going back to what you said, like they want it to be simple to use. And I've been working on some projects where you could just give a hair check to someone that doesn't know anything about Wi-Fi, right? And you can just ask them to do simple tasks, and it's easy for them to do it with the tool. They don't have to, you don't have to train them or anything. You just can you just check this on this device, and they'll go and do it using the tool. They don't have to. It's very simple to use. And they also revamped the channel view that we know from AirCheck, where it will show you the different channels and how busy they are. So they revamped it to also include retry rate, which is nice.
Yeah, that's something I would really like to see. Maybe it's a screenshot of the new version of AirCheck.
Maybe. And also, like looking at the different screenshots, it also looks like they're doing a lot behind the scenes to correlate different information, different data that they collect, and in order to just present it in a simple fashion. So I think they have a lot of code that just correlate the data they collect and then try to analyze what device it could be, and then just show us, just simply show us, show us what it is in a single page, instead of having us to go into different menus to find out and correlate the information ourselves.
Yeah, because now it starts to go into the visibility portion, because this is how they make it simple for you by easily giving you the visibility into your network, and they do it in a simplistic way. And so, like, again, they don't crowd the screen with a lot of information in your face, but you can just kind of drill down into different aspects of the network.
And so we'll talk about that when we talk about visibility and how they're able to collect different information about a device and how they're able to correlate, all this information together. And then they also have different things related to the UI to make it more simple. They have, ability to do to filter out the information you see. You can filter per SSID, BSSID. You can filter per signal strength if you only want to see, access point, for instance, that you hear with a signal below -65. They have a very robust filter options. You can also sort all the results to better identify what you're working on. And then you can also define and create reusable test targets and profiles. So you could create these and then populate them into your different air checks. If you have different employees going on site, and you want to define tests for them, you can define them and then push them to the AirCheck G2 or the new tool, I guess. and then they'll be able to go on site and execute them, and then everything will go back to Link Live, so you can analyze it later on.
Yeah.
Something else that they added and that they showcased, and I think was pretty cool, is the time. They called it the time machine. So you can actually go back in time when you're analyzing some tests, some devices. You can go back in time to see how they evolved over time, up to 24 hours.
Now, is that like when they were talking about that, did that mean having the device, your handheld tool, sitting there for 24 hours and collecting data?
Or you could be moving.
Or you could be moving.
Because they also showed us something called the roaming test. So you could be doing a roaming test and moving around. I think James was talking about him moving around in the airport and doing this roaming test. And at the end of the test, you can actually go back in time and see, okay, where did I roam? When I roamed, how many packets did I lose? And they simulate, when they do the roaming test, they send pings to simulate a voice call to try to see how much you would lose or how much it would impact a voice call. And you can go back in time and see, the results of your analysis.
That's an interesting test. So he was able to simulate a voice call, but he was just using ping. But I imagine he could probably set up some sort of profile test that actually simulates a voice call, and then you roam, and then it gathers all those metrics, your current RSSI with your current AP, what the other APs sound like from the handheld's perspective, and then what happens during that roam. Do you have any loss, no loss? But then I imagine, can you do a test where you can compare results? So like, let's say I have 802.11r, K, and V turned off. I do the roaming test. You get the results. Then you turn those on and then do that same test again. I wonder if you can compare those results, maybe manually. I don't know if they correlate that data for you, like on Link Live, for example, but maybe you can gather both of those tests and then compare them.
What's also challenging with all these tests is that, like the air check is not really going to act exactly at the same as your client devices that you have deployed, right? So 11R might work well for your AirCheck G2, but might not work for your for your customer devices, because they don't have the same Wi-Fi drivers and all of that. So
exactly.
It gives you an idea, I guess, of what the roaming will be. But if you really want to test what the roaming would be for your voice handset or your Vocera badges or whatever you're using, for your customer, you actually have to test it from there.
Yeah, you need the actual device that's being used on that network, but at least the AirCheck or whatever the new product is can give us something as close to that, and to validate, yes, the network should be operating as it should, because maybe you don't have the opportunity to actually test with the actual client device, but being that it's an Android device, I could imagine you could set up various kinds of tests because of the flexibility you have in the operating system.
Okay, so that's for the simplicity of it. It's more in the UI and the way they present the information to us and what you could do with the tool. Then next, moving on to the visibility portion of it. What they tried to do is they called it breaking the layer 2 ceiling, right? So what James realized when he was doing all of his analysis work is that having a MAC address only is not really going to give you much details about the device, especially nowadays where multiple manufacturers will use the same type of MAC address providers. So you could have the same OUI for different companies, and so it's not like back in the days where you could say, okay, this particular OUI is Apple and this particular OUI is HP or whatever. Nowadays it's a little bit more complex to figure out exactly what the device is. So he's saying instead of only looking at the MAC address and the OUI, maybe we can look at the layer 3 information. Maybe we can look at the SNMP information. Maybe we can look at the HTTP. Maybe we can look what type of ports are open on this machine, and then use all of that data, so layer 2, layer 3, layer 4, to try to analyze and try to find out what exactly that device is.
Right. So now they get into fingerprinting on those types of devices rather than trusting just the OUI.
Yes. And then, so he showed us an example with the printer where, he could HTTP into the IP address and get like a printer page, whatever. And he's like, okay, that's a printer. And they're trying to, gather all this type of information and then correlate it and then give you on the device page, okay, this is the MAC address, this is the IP, and this is what we think this device is.
Mm-hmm.
So that was pretty interesting. We talked about SNMP a little bit. SNMP is still, I guess, very useful to do this type of work, to do this type of discovery work.
As long as it's version 1 or 2, you can get that SNMP data. But I'm sure you can create a profile that has SNMP v3 data or login info, and then you could start querying devices as well. And
then we talked about Wi-Fi, and he talked about how Wi-Fi is complex. He talked about an access point changing channels, right? If you have like RM or this type of algorithm enabled, you could have AP changing channel on you. He talked about Wi-Fi 6 and the fact that they have 80 information elements and over 2,000 new data rates. And so he talked about all of that, and obviously they don't want to make the UI more complex, right? But they still want to provide the good information to the user. So once again, they try to correlate information coming from different sources in order to provide better visibility into the Wi-Fi network. So he showed us an example where you could see an access point, and you could see the different, like the channel changes, and it will tell you, this access point was previously on channel 36, it's now on channel 64, whatever, and then it will show you that channel change events. Okay. That's pretty cool.
And I would imagine they'll show you also like SNR and the retry rates when you're looking at maybe the specific AP channel.
Yeah, I think so. I think they show you that. Yeah.
Because he did go a lot into the wired side, and I felt there wasn't enough wireless in that presentation specifically. Because they do show, I mean, he goes so much into like finding a printer and SNMP, and then he kind of touches upon the wireless side where you're looking even at clients, and you could see the signal strength of a client, like a ping response, and then he goes into like a switch, and then being able to see into the types of traffic that's going through the switch, like whether that's a unicast or broadcast. Yeah. But I was wondering if you can get that sort of view also from the wireless network or from the AP and SSID.
So from the AP side of things, he shows you the BSSID, the SSID, the AP. It shows you the different channels, right? It also shows you the previous channels if you roamed, or if the not if you roam, but if the access point decided to change channels. It shows you, the type of Wi-Fi, supported. So if it's AX, AC, NN, and so on, it shows you the signal strength, SNR, and then the type of security.
Okay.
Yeah. And then if it also analyzes if you thinks you have a problem with the access point, it's going to tell you. So here the example that they showed is like, they've seen the access point change channels multiple times in the last day. So they're telling you, the BSSID is operating on different channels. You might look at, what's going on here.
Sure. Okay.
And they give you a couple of recommendations.
All right.
So it's and then from the RF side also, what they're trying to do is they're trying to correlate the information that they capture from the Wi-Fi card, so the RF view. So they'll get they get the signal strengths, SNR, SSID, BSSID channels, clients, and all of that. So all the information they get doing their passive scan, and then they try to correlate that with the information they gather from the wired side. And they try to see if they can, pivot and correlate that information together.
Okay. Now I'm seeing it because I'm going through the slides as we talk. All right. So now I see that information, and it actually gives you quite a bit of information on the BSSID, especially like the capabilities that it has.
Yeah.
And I'm seeing that they have the view of 11AX capabilities. So that's going to be really neat to see with its max data rate, the streams. Lots of good tests here that you could run and for troubleshooting, especially the services as you go through Wi-Fi.
And they actually look at the information elements of the beacon, so they're able to tell you, it's an AC AX access point, but on top of that, they're able to tell you, what are the AN capabilities or the AC capability of that device.
Okay.
Which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
So, and then on top of the Wi-Fi side, you also have, they also collect information from the wired network. Mm-hmm. So I'm guessing you can connect that device to the local network, and they can, run some SNMP together, data from the wired network as well. And one thing that was pretty cool for me is that they can actually discover your wireless LAN controller. If you have a wireless LAN controller, they can discover it, and they can tell you, your wireless LAN controller has that many APs connected to it. It has, it supports that many SSIDs. You have that many VLANs going to that controller. And then if you have multiple interfaces, it will tell you how many interfaces you have. So they showed us an example with a Cisco controller. I think it was pretty cool.
Yeah. So are they getting that data through SNMP, or if they're connecting to a switch, they can probably see, it says this. So the screenshot or the slide that I see here says it was discovered via SNMP, and then probably through the switch, you can see what VLANs are, attached to that port for that controller. But yeah, it's a good way to validate, ensuring like the end-to-end is working properly rather than just looking at wireless, which is why he was saying he wants to break through that layer 2 ceiling.
Yeah, and something else you can do now if you have the information about the AP and the information about the controller is that, on the AP page, you can say, okay, that AP is connected to that controller, and you can click on the controller name, and then it brings you to the controller view.
Okay.
So it helps you to analyze, and you can do the same thing with the SSIDs as well. Try to see how many APs support an SSID and all of that.
Okay.
And another, like some more insight on the Wi-Fi side. So you can, we talked a little bit about that, but the ability to go back in time. I thought that was pretty nice.
I think having to go back in time is going to be important for us in troubleshooting, because you're going to want to gather or have somebody gather that data for you, right? And you're using the tool, and they could be doing that, you could be in remotely. An office, remotely, and then you can go back and analyze that in time. So that's going to be very useful.
And on top of that, talking about this use case of being remote and having someone on site with that tool, you can also do Wi-Fi packet captures. And while you do the Wi-Fi packet captures, you can see. They told us like they cannot decode everything in real time because it would be too much, resource intensive. But they see you the type of frames, the percentage of type of frames collected. So they'll tell you, we collected 50% of data frames, 20% of control frames, and so on. And then what you can do is at the end of the test, you can upload the PCAP to Link Live. So if you have someone on site, you can just ask them to do Wi-Fi packet capture on a specific channel, and then they can upload the PCAP, and then remotely you can download it and open it with Wireshark and analyze it.
I think that visual that they give you on the device is very useful, right? If you're looking at capturing on a specific channel and the BSSID, you're looking at that, looking at what kind of frames are being transferred over the air, and then also being able to look and correlate that with your signal strength and retry rates, for example. I think that's all really good information they give you from a handheld device.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool, and you can also tie the roaming events and the active test, so you can actually connect to a network and see the logs. They'll tell you, we connected to that BSSID on that channel, and you can even they show you the detailed logs on which frames, Wi-Fi authentication association and so on, and all that data you can now also upload it to Link Live.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So if you ask someone to do the remote test and then something fails, you can use that data log and see, okay, maybe they're not using the right password, or maybe something is wrong in the authentication, or maybe you can say, oh, everything is good from the Wi-Fi standpoint. Maybe it's something else on the network that's going on.
And I think for that roaming test that he did, so they give you again that visual on the device, but I remember there was an actual log file that would be generated when you do the roaming test.
Yeah.
I think in the video he did say that you'd be able to upload that log file to Link Live, because I think even having that log file is handy because it does tell you what the nearby APs are that the handheld device can hear. Yeah,
indeed, that's very useful. And yes, you can upload it to Link Live. And at the end of this episode, we'll talk about the updates that they're releasing for the AirCheck G2, and the ability to see those logs is one of the updates that you can already do on Link Live. So not for the roaming, but for the connection.
Oh, the connection, right. That's what it was. It was a connection log.
Yeah. All right. So we talked about simplicity, feasibility. Let's talk about collaboration a little bit. We talked about Link Live quite a bit. Link Live, we didn't even define what Link Live is.
So now that we're 40 minutes in.
Exactly. So Link Live is pretty much their cloud platform. So it's like a website. You log into it using your credentials, and then you can retrieve all of the results of the tests you performed using the NetAlly tools. So the AirCheck, the Link Sprinter. I don't have a Link Runner, but I guess you can also get the results of the Link Runner as well.
Yeah.
And you can also share these results. You can analyze these results. And what I love about Link Live is that when you're on site doing your work, you don't even have to think about, documenting your work, because you know that when you go back to your desk, everything will be there on Link Live.
Yeah, it'll automatically upload it. So part of the test when you connect, and I'm looking at my AirCheck G2 in Link Live, and by the way, when you get Link Live, I think it's part of the product. So you do all you have to do is create an account, and then you can log in, and then you just claim your devices. And so once you've done all that, where you've added your NetAlly devices to Link Live and into your account, when you do, for example, a connection test on your AirCheck G2, it'll automatically upload that to Link Live, and you'll be able to see data such as the link, what your fire rate is, what the retry rate was when you were connecting, what your signal was, and then which access point you joined to with the BSSID and the SSID, what channel, and then it will do other tests that you can also have pre-configured. So it does DHCP, it'll test DNS, gateway, and then you can do tests like I do a basic TCP port 80 test to a website, and also a ping test to something out on the internet.
Yeah, so Link Live is pretty much the collaboration tool, and that's where you save all of your results in the cloud. And so what they're trying to do is trying to make it better. it's already pretty nice. And they're trying to make it better. So now you have the ability to upload results directly from the device, adding comments and job comments. I'm guessing maybe in the future we'll have the ability to also add pictures, because in Link Live you can see that they have a picture option, so you can manually add attachments today. But that would be nice if in the future you can just add pictures from the tool you're using. Now it also supports Open API, so you can retrieve all the information that you have, all the results you have in the Link Live account. You can retrieve that using Open APIs, and you can import it in other tools that you use. That's something they added this year. They're also adding the connection and roaming logs that we talked about, and then they're adding more Wi-Fi analytics options to help us analyze Wi-Fi remotely. So we'll see channel utilization, we'll see the number of APs per channel, we'll see the number of clients per channels, and we'll see the number of interference per channel.
Yeah, and going back to the API part, which is kind of interesting because they did say it was a very popular request to have API, and I just find like everyone nowadays needs an API, but do you really need an API? And I guess what people wanted to do was create their own custom reports, by using the API to get specific data, and then you could build out your own report, or you could analyze something a little bit deeper using the API. Right, you're just getting results that you want, the specific results, rather than ingesting everything from your handheld tools. So I think that'll probably expand throughout the next few years, and I'd like to see actual like use cases of what people have been doing with the API to create something that maybe basically something that NetAlly hasn't done. Right, it's just extending the application itself into something that you create. But we'll see what kind of solutions come out from that.
I think they have different stuff that they could improve. Maybe, maybe some companies use the AirCheck or Link Sprinter to validate that an installation was done properly. And maybe they want to provide to the customer like a type of certification saying that, we installed everything up to, according to the requirements, and everything is meeting our standards. And here we tested it using our tools, and this is the results of our tools, and everything is green. And maybe they want to automate that process. So when you're on site doing your test, it uploads it to Link Live, and then the APIs retrieve those results and then put it nicely in a, certificate or a PDF document or whatever. Maybe that could be a use case.
Yeah, and because they would be able to integrate with other systems, but I think that they were saying that's through Link Live and not, and I don't know. I think I need to see more of how that would look like, because they talk about the collaboration part, and yeah, that piece I could understand. But what about this improved visibility? Like, integrate with other systems in what way? Like, could you tie that into your controller, for example, and pull information from that, and then do the comparison there, or put data together?
Yeah, that would be interesting.
Because maybe you can pull like what the RSSI is seeing from the AP, compare that to from the client, and kind of get an end-to-end look. But we'll see what the capability is in the future for this API.
Well, nowadays everyone provides API, so customers, they will ask. They'll ask it every time.
Because I don't know if you remember that presentation that Jerome Henry did at a previous, not this year's Cisco Live, but it was maybe 1 or 2 Cisco Lives ago, where he had an application where it was gathering the data from the device and then from the AP's point of view and putting it on a graph, and it was looking like a live survey, and you could actively see what that looked like. I wonder if you could do that with Link Live API.
That would be very interesting. All right. Okay, so let's talk about AirCheck G2 and then, the updates that they presented at Mobility Field Day. So on top of talking about the new company and the new stuff that they're working on, they also gave us an update on the current product that we have. And the one I guess we cared about was the AirCheck G2, which is the Wi-Fi analyzer handheld device. And they told us that they came up with the version 4 of the firmware, and this new version includes now support for Wi-Fi 6. So you can decode, I guess, Wi-Fi. They can decode Wi-Fi 6 beacons and understand the information elements. So you're going to be able to see which Wi-Fi 6 APs are around. You can now also do iPerf test and then upload that to the Link Live account. I think you could already do iPerf test. Now you can upload the results to Link Live. That's a new feature. You can also upload the log files that we talked about to Link Live, and you can do simple Wi-Fi analysis through Link Live, analyze channel utilization, number of clients per channels, and so on.
Okay.
So that's. I think it was not. I think we can clearly see that they're focusing on the collaboration part of things here, trying to provide more and more information back to Link Live, and I think it's nice.
Yeah, and I think I can see why they're doing this, right? Because you could have an organization where maybe it's not you, Francois, who's doing these tests, and you sent someone to do the test, or there's an AirCheck G2 on site. They gather those results and then they just share it with you so that you can add somebody to view those results, and then you could further collaborate on that project and be able to get it done, whatever you're doing, get it done more efficiently and faster, right? So you're able to see the results right away. You can trust that the results are coming from the device versus somebody saying, yeah, I tested Wi-Fi and I connected to this AP, but it was slow. And so now you can actually get those results just by having them click on the AirCheck G2 and do the connection test, do the iPerf test. And I really like the iPerf test because then you could really test the Wi-Fi network locally, because a lot of people will use like a speed test server that's not on site but through the internet, and they try to validate it that way. And so now you can get all these results all in one place, and even have them include pictures, right? Show me a picture of the AP that you're connecting to, but then you can validate whether or not they connected to the right AP. So a lot of cool things coming out of Link Live with the tools that they have makes it easier for us to troubleshoot as a team and be able to get the right information versus trusting someone from what they say and what they see, but not necessarily seeing the right thing.
Yeah, and AirCheck G2 is very easy to use. Like you can just, take it out of your bag. It powers on in like 10 seconds, and then you're ready to pretty much analyze everything.
Yep.
And I think that the Wi-Fi 6 support is also due, because we've seen Wi-Fi 6 access point shipping for maybe a year now. So we're starting to see them more and more, and we kind of need a way to analyze them. What I need now? I need a device that can do 8 to the 11AX packet captures.
That's
why
what
you
the AirCheck
I'm struggling
G3
right now, trying to set up my Cisco AP as a sniffer for AX traffic.
Yeah.
Would be nice if we could have a tool that could just do it for us simply.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
So we'll see. Maybe the new device will do that for us.
I think so. I think it will. The update, the hardware update to AirCheck, the G3 probably.
I wonder if we could do that with the NVIDIA Jetson Nano stuff.
Actually, once you update the AirCheck G2 and it supports Wi-Fi 6, you should be able to at least get a capture that way. I mean, it won't.
You won't be able to see the data
get a lot. Yeah, you won't be able to get a lot of traffic, but it's getting there. I mean, we can see them moving in that direction.
Yeah. Then they'll need it if they want to, measure retries and stuff like that.
Exactly.
All right. All right, Rowell, I think that's it for this one. If you guys want more information, we put everything in the show notes, so you can head over to cleartosend.net/186. You'll see a link to the videos of Mobility Field Day. We also try to link the blogs that the other delegates wrote on NetAlly. So if you want to, see another perspective on this and brand new company, I should say. And yeah, so if you have any questions, just ask us on Twitter, and we're looking forward to hearing from you. And then we'll be back next week for a brand new episode on the Clear to Send Show. Thank you guys for listening, and we'll talk to you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.